Hi there, dance studio owners, and welcome to a brand new series of the Transform My Dance Studio podcast. Over the coming weeks, we are delighted to be joined by DSOA Dance Studio Growth Coach, Shannon Westveer. During this 6-week special of Transform My Dance Studio, join Shannon in the Coaches Corner as she workshops innovative ideas and solutions around growing the dance studio of your dreams while getting your life back. We hope you enjoy today's special episode. And make sure to join our free Facebook group, the Dance Studio Owners Association, for more resources and support in growing the dance studio of your dreams.
Hello, Dance World. It's Shannon Westveer, Training and Coaching Manager of the DSOA. I am back for week 2 of my podcast, taking you back to the basics. Giving you some history on how I learned the ropes, where I fell down, all so you can build a dynamic dance studio. Today, I want to discuss what I consider to be the fundamentals: your target audience, your location, and the economics. Why your marketing, your price point, and your business's demographics have to marry. Think about it. You wake up one day and say to yourself, "You know what, self? I want to own a dance studio, and I'm going to sign a lease today." That is serious motivation. But in my opinion, there needs to be a bit more thought put into this very spontaneous day of yours. As I mentioned in my last episode, years ago, I had a plan of what I thought I wanted my dance studio to be. Jump was the name, and my plan was to market to the parents of children that wanted opportunity to work out while their child was taking a fun dance class next door. To me, at the time, this was every mother's dream. But how would I market my, quote, new idea to my future client? Well, my business plan ultimately ended up being a bit different than I expected. But it ultimately worked out, and here's how. Back in the day, quite a few of them, may I add, when I was working through my business and marketing plan, I also had a full-time career teaching at what I call multiple dance opportunities. What I mean by that is that I was teaching at 2 traditional dance studios. I was also running and teaching underprivileged kids at the Boys and Girls Club of Hollywood, and also teaching at an after-school program run by California Dance Education Association. Pretty well-rounded, right? I was taking on as many teaching opportunities as possible, trying to find what felt best at the time, and was helping with any extra projects that those studios would give me. These very different businesses and physical locations gave me the knowledge I needed to work well with any type of child, in any atmosphere, doing any style of dance. I did a lot of winging it back then, but always provided the same thing to each of my students: a personal connection, positivity, and as much love as I could give them. A studio in the inner city of Los Angeles was, as you can imagine, very different than a studio in Malibu. Budgets were different. The floors at some were not as fancy. Attire was not always proper leggings with hair pulled up tight. But those kids were all the same at their core. They were there to dance. They were there to be better. And I can remember to this day how much I loved learning about myself back then. My focus was always on making those kids better. And at each location and every studio with its slightly different culture, it taught me more. I wanted the best for all of them and was always thinking of new ways to give them the love of dance before a specific technique. One of my first full-time teaching positions was for a lady that passed away of cancer several months after I began working for her. She was lovely. She was happy first and business second. She put a smile on your face the minute she walked through the door. You know, that person that you can depend on to be in a good mood always? I wanted the students and parents to see me the way that I saw her, as a mentor and a guiding light in their lives. I carried these lifelong skills that I gained in California with me to Chicago years later. When I met my to-be business partner, the one thing that I quickly realized when I met her for the first time was that I would never own a dance studio that just taught classes. The truth is, parents have a host of choices when it comes to extracurricular activities for their children, and dance can offer so many things for so many people. It's how to connect with those people, those parents, those kids, and ultimately those clients that leads me to how I found my target audience. Well, when you first open your studio, or even if you have been in business for years and you just are not quite feeling that culture of your studio, take a pause. By way of the DSOA, Clint always teaches his members about creating student and parent avatars. This is so important and is often something that first-time studio owners overlook, because when you open a business, the mindset is usually take in as many students as possible, no matter who they are or their parents are, and put them in any class that they want, and then go from there. See how they do and check back later. Am I right? If we all had Clint in our back pockets when we first started, then we would have been far ahead of the game, with fewer mistakes, but it's never too late to think about your ideal client. What is your culture? If you fast forward 10 years, who do you want by your side? What kids are in your recitals? What teachers are by your side? What are the characteristics of who you want representing your studio, your brand, your name? What age and income bracket do they fall in compared to the location and cost of the rent? Does it make sense? Are you going to be happy with the result as you dream big about your future? And this was always my big question. Do the parents of each of your students want more than just movement for their child? Why are they invested? It's important that you marry your target audience with where you plan to open your studio. Unfortunately, and for most, parents are not driving 30 minutes to put their kid in a recreational class. If Addison wants to dance and you say, okay, as a parent, you're looking for the closest location possible. Convenience first, quality second. Sorry, but that's the reality of a dad with a 5-year-old. Where you need to focus is on cross-selling friendships. What does that mean? Well, if you have kids, you know that half of their motivation is going wherever their best friend is going. If your daughter's best friend is attending Mindy's dance studio, well, guess what? You best get ready to send some money to Mindy. That organic horizontal marketing push is significant for your business. It can easily double or triple your studio. Build relationships with your students and their parents, but also work to build relationships with their friends. Trust me, it's worth your time. If you're as lucky as I was, and you end up owning a studio that is located across the street from one of the most prevalent private schools in Chicago, then your classes will tend to fill more quickly, and your ideal client will find a home. Jot it down. Location means convenience for your client's mom and dad. Don't forget that. If you only care about competition kids and they're willing to spend hours in traffic every week to get to you, well, you can ignore this. For most of us, that's not our bread and butter. You need a location that works. Ample parking, check the box. Starbucks within walking distance, yes, that helps. Internet, yep. A bar next door, not a bad idea, just saying. It took my business partner and me walking the streets of Chicago with a boombox, offering to provide any style of dance they had interest in while doing summer camps and after-school programs at 2 major schools in our area. When I joined her a year after opening the studio, I knew that we both understood who our ideal clients were. We happened to be located in the epicenter of where they lived, worked, and sent their children to school. The parents were younger, affluent, and hardworking. Their children were attending progressive schools and gaining more knowledge than I had as a 4-year-old, that's for sure. They wanted to be engaged in a fun and nurturing environment, and they all seemed confident and ready for what life threw at them. Parents were looking for a positive, vibrant environment that was different from the dance studio they grew up in. They wanted upbeat music and a fresh new twist with every class that their children came running out of, and that is exactly what we gave them. I pulled from all of my past knowledge to begin creating a curriculum that was not to be found in Chicago. Our studio was well-rounded and provided lots of opportunity for children to be who they wanted to be. And that, my friends, brought pure joy to my heart. I still to this day have parents sending me photos of when I was pregnant teaching their 3-year-old, or the students that I had in Mommy and Me class when they were 18 months old and now are graduating from high school. Connection, it takes time to build, but is everlasting if you take the time. Vest all your energy in every parent, in every child, in every nanny, in every grandmother that walks through the door. It will take time, but it works. So once you've nailed down your target audience and location, you are ready to find your dance mecca, the place that you and your clients will call home. In the beginning, this might be a gym, theater, or school, and that's okay, as long as you bring your originality to that space, and then it is at least a starting point. If you start out in a remote location, I urge you to build what I call your treasure box. Inside will be anything that you need to give the best class ever, and of course, we'll have options for all age groups. Props, journals, picture books, dance education materials, floor dots, cones, anything that turns the space you are in for that moment in time into an inspiring space. Oh, and make sure to have a pop-up banner or something that stands out with your logo on it. It is important to think about convenience factors such as parking and safety as well as visibility. I urge you to first have an idea of the square footage you can afford. It is best to have a shopping center feel or neighborhood street. I know depending on your town, you may not have many options, but dream big and then scale back as necessary. Look at all of your options, as you never know what can be done with a space. Look at everything. If you walk into a space and you can visualize yourself, your staff, and your clients living it up, well, that's a good first step. You want the process to be exciting, even though there will be huge challenges that come with it. Create a Pinterest board, cut out images, and draw out your dream studio. Think of colors and the flow of how your clients will enter your building. How would you want your experience as a customer to be? And then you may have to start small and grow into it. One of the best exercises that we do in DSOA is your 12-month plan and 3-year vision. If you know in your heart what your long-term goals are, then you can take baby steps to get there. Be careful about taking on too much space and rent right off the bat. My previous studio had a 5-year lease, and we were bursting at the seams when we moved. In 2010, we moved into a building that my then business partners purchased and planned on taking only one of the 3 levels for a total of 3 studios. Within 6 months, we built out a 4th studio, and after our first full year there, we added a 5th. As of the fall of 2020, we had taken over the entire 15,000 square foot building for a total of 8 studios and 1 dance store. Now, I'm not saying that you have to jump into leasing a building right away. There are many ways to go about building and supporting your business financially. I just want you to dig deep and understand what your purpose in life and in your business are. As saying from Field of Dreams, which I love, if you build it, they will come. It's about your purpose and knowing wholeheartedly who you want to be known as. See that through. Visualize the end and work towards that. Be patient. Love the struggle. That glass of sparkling rosé will taste that much better at the end of the finish line. Celebrate yourself and those that you love along the way. I don't want to leave you hanging on how I eventually got to my dream of owning a dance studio. So join me next week when I talk to all of you about the offering. That includes budget, marketing, and my favorite program offerings. Thanks again for spending the time with me. On behalf of the DSOA and the dance world that defines us, I look forward to another week.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Transform My Dance Studio podcast. Don't forget to join us over in the Dance Studio Owners Association Facebook group for more resources and support in growing the dance studio of your dreams while reclaiming your life.